So my guest today is Aaron Mees. He's an actor and has been featured in many movies. Maybe you saw him in Amazed by You, All Is Calm, and so many more. But today we're going to be talking about his latest movie, An Unlikely Angel, which is featured on Pureflix and written and produced by Rebecca Rogers Nelson, directed and produced by Durrell Nelson. Aaron, thank you for joining me on the call.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I really enjoyed the character David Caswell in the movie An Unlikely Angel, where you played the husband of Gillian Murray and she encounters a life-changing moment with an angel. Do you want to talk about your role in the movie a little bit?
David is an ultimate do-gooder. Initially in the film, maybe I won't give away too much, I guess, if they haven't seen it. But initially in the film, he's just a traditional, like, hardworking, maybe even like white collar type of a person, right? He's in pursuit of becoming a doctor. So he's just a determined person. Obviously, things take a turn, and he's left with no choice but to be ultimately just a family man, somebody to figure things out no matter what. But that's something that is really, I think, something David feels comfortable with. Forget the high paying job or like a high class status of anything. It's family. That's most important. He's good at understanding what is most important, and it's those that are close to him and people that are his loved ones. And the sacrifice to make sure that's okay is the ultimate goal for a character like David.
I loved his character because I love that he was, loyal and faithful. And then there was a lot of stuff going on in there that was happening that was interesting with the neighbor and things like that. So what sort of person is going to love this character?
A lot of people are going to love this character just because he may be imperfect in ways, as we all are, but he's really just a humble guy who's just really trying to do his best and maybe not trying to ruffle too many feathers all the time, and puts a lot of stress on his own shoulders trying to carry others, and that's just the type of person that he is. So he's kind of a hard guy to really hate. I know there might be a couple moments in the movie where you're like, uh-oh, but later you're like, oh, okay, I see. Okay, that makes sense a little bit. He's a good guy, really good heart, and he's sticks to his principles.
And I know that there's a lot of women out there that are going to say, what a sweet guy. He's playing a sweet character over here.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, hopefully it turned out that way anyway.
So
Not too many moments in that movie was David's supposed to be, a real jerk. So,
yeah.
and if he was, then I totally missed the mark, I guess.
The character, are you like him? I mean, are you different than he is in real life? I mean, they want to know out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways that I'm quite similar to David. Now, besides, I never in my life ever planned on becoming a doctor. I wanted to do a lot of things growing up, but a doctor was one of those that just didn't really, I was like, nah, other things I want to do. So there's one main big difference. Another big difference is I don't have a whole lot of experience with boats. Love boats, but as far as me fixing one up, I don't know if I could do that. I think the ultimate motivation for David throughout this whole movie is making sure others, the ones who are around him, are taken care of. And it's you being taken care of last, it's very selfless. That is David, I think, to a T. And he may be imperfect in doing that sometimes. It's one of those things, he had really good intentions on something and something just didn't come out the way that, he hoped it would. But that's David. At the end of the day, it's like he will take the shirt off his back for somebody else if it's necessary. And that is something that that sits very well with me too. It's a type of a personality trait that I relate with very, very much.
On the set, did you feel the presence of God there? I mean, did you pray every morning? What were you doing?
Yeah, well, what was very cool about this set, and having Becky and Durrell kind of at the helm of this whole thing, is we would often do a together, like before we really start working the day, is there'd be a group prayer and even a devotional. They would even do like devotionals there too, which was really neat. They created an atmosphere that allowed for that, and so it's certainly circulating through the set, which is great. It's always a positive thing,
You know
you
what?
know.
Let's talk a little bit about um, your life with Jesus, your journey. Oh, have you always believed? Have you, did you just become a believer? And we're all sinners saved by grace. So
Yeah.
let's,
My grandfather was a pastor. He was a Lutheran pastor, and so often growing up, for me and my brothers, I have two brothers. We were all every summer, we were doing church camps over here, or we always called it Vacation Bible School. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with that, but I guess that may have been part of what laid a foundation, at least for me growing up.
you keep picking up this cowboy cup, and on your
Yeah,
Instagram, it says that you're a cowboy, right? So
part time,
yeah, a
part time.
part-time cowboy. Can you tell your fans about you and what you're up to with this cowboy and whatever else you're doing?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up being a cowboy. Okay, well, I guess the first experience I ever had of like anything kind of cowboy was, fortunately for me, just doing a few different movies that and kind of involved it, and really kind of immersed me in riding horses, or even just the get up, the gear, being around people who were actual cowboys. Um, and so that kind of gave me my first experience with it, and I loved it. And then lo and behold, you know, um, pandemic comes through and totally flips our world upside down. And I end up working on a farm as a ranch hand for an eighth generation cowboy for about 3 months in Colorado. And it was one of the coolest experiences I ever had. I love it. And and yeah, so by the end of my summer in Colorado of 2020, basically, I if there was a license to hand somebody to become a cowboy, if you will, um, you know, I I think I at least got a license for it, perhaps.
That's funny because you got training there, but then you made a movie just like that.
I know, hilarious, right?
How is that? How does God work like that?
Seriously, I'm amazed by it all the time. It's by this point, I'm like, so many weird, odd things uh have happened that it leaves me no doubt that it's all working in just a really interesting
So,
way.
if you could play any role, what would it be?
Uh Anything Indiana Jones, totally would love to do. Um, Now it's so nostalgic for me. Maybe there's some other people who are going to listen to this too. If they're around my age, but when growing up, one of my favorite movies of all time was The Mummy, and Brendan Fraser's role in The Mummy is to this day. What's his name in the movie? Ryan O'Connell. No, Rick O'Connell. I to this day want to be Rick O'Connell. I want to go venture out into ancient, civilizations and try to find treasure and all that stuff. Clearly, I love adventure movies, so anything in that genre, I would love to do. But I also really love time pieces too, period pieces. And one movie that really sticks out to me, and probably one of the biggest inspirations for me to that just made me kind of fall in love with film, um, was the movie called The Count of Monte Cristo, and the remake they did in like it might have been like the early 2000s, but is with Jim Caviezel and Guy Pearce, I believe. Uh, love that movie and love the role of Jim Caviezel in that too. It's such a really crazy story, um, but always loved it. It always just sat deep within me. It's a movie I have to watch like once a year because
You can catch all of Aaron's work on imdb.com, Pureflix. So Aaron, what would you like to leave my audience with today?
well, first and foremost, thank you for listening. Um, I'm so blessed with the opportunity to have just really the as I see it, one of the coolest jobs in the world. And the only reason I have that is from people at home watching and tuning in. So it means a lot, and I'm so grateful for that, for sure. And hey, I hope that these some of these films, like a film like An Unlikely Angel, the coolest thing about it is when people do reach out. For me, it's via Instagram usually, or social media, and they say how not even just how much they enjoyed the film, but how it touched them and meant something to them. And that to me is the ultimate reason why I love doing this, for real. It's sometimes working in the film industry can be a bit crazy, and I guess that could be the same for all industries. But to know that you're part of a piece of work that actually touches people's lives in a positive way, that's the coolest thing in the world, and it's the greatest goal I could ever achieve. So for those of you who have reached out, thank you so much, and I'm so glad to hear your stories and to hear that. And hey, if there's anybody who didn't reach out and wants to, I mean, feel free to do so.
I pray this program has strengthened and encouraged you. Jesus calls us in so many different ways, sometimes through a chance encounter, sometimes through a movie, but always through his word. Won't you surrender your life to him, the one who calls you to be his? God speaks to you every day. Are you listening to the call?